Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in because we're going to take a close look and reviewing this Sharpin King 4K full-size pinball machine. This product has been sent in for purpose to review, but it doesn't influence my personal opinion. So I'm going to rip apart this thing because I just wanted to explain to you how was my personal experience building this machine. Is this machine worth your money? Because it's not cheap. They are selling it from around 2,000 euros up to the expensive version that costs around 3 up to 3.5k. And yeah, it's a lot of money, but an overall virtual pinball isn't a very expensive hobby, especially when you're looking at the parts that you're going to get. But I wanted to explain to you guys, so what is basically the Sharpin King? So the Sharpin King is a DIY kit that you're buying. In this DIY kit, you're going to get everything that you're going to need. You can get yourself a DIY kit very cheaply. Maybe you can basically build it yourself. But this kit is just an all-in-one solution. It comes with all the displays, PC, cables, buttons. You need it, you're going to get it in this kit. And that is basically also what you're paying for. But let's start about the unboxing and how was my personal experience building this thing. Because there's a lot of things I can say about that. So you are considering getting yourself a Sharpin King Pro, but what are you going to get? You're not going to get yourself a package from China, that's one thing for sure, because this company is based in Austria, that is in Europe. But we have a lot of products that we're going to get, so they divided it over all of the boxes. And as you can see, like everything has been packed up very well. The box quality was okay, some of these boxes were flimsy, but especially when it comes to the wood, that I was a little bit concerned about, everything was packed up very good. So you can expect that there will be minor damages, maybe even none. But before I even started building the cabinet itself, I triple checked everything, that I had every single part, and yep, I missed something out. There was only one sticker on the back box that was missing out. It was not a big of a deal, and he sent the products that I was missing out very quickly to me, so I can start building my pinball machine. But let's talk about the experience I had when building this machine, because in my opinion it's a mixed bag. And the reason why I will tell you later on in this video what I mean with this. Because it's not comparable with the Sharpin Mini or the bar tops I've reviewed here on the channel. So when I put this machine together, I think after a very short time I realized that putting this thing together, it looks easy, but it isn't. So I asked my dad to help out, and he said to me, man, like, Wicked, we need to do some different things, because putting it together like this is not like it should be. To begin with, like, the angles of the metal plates for the legs are completely different, and we needed to use some glue because the bottom plate was loose and we need to assemble everything on that. So after my dad comes in to help out, so basically what we needed, like, doing very carefully, putting every screw in and seeing if we can put this thing in the right position. Otherwise we're going to get a crooked cabinet, and you don't want that. To begin with, you cannot even assemble the monitor. So it's going to be a freaking nightmare assembling the body part itself. So after we're done putting the body part of the pinball machine together, the next thing I wanted to do is get myself the legs. So first let's do a quick unwrapping and unpacking. The quality of this looks very well, like high quality, real, authentic pinball legs. So they are not like the cheap ones that you can see with different machines. But in overall, like, everything is over here, so if you want to lever it out, and all the parts, you need to assemble it like everything else. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to put them on the cabinet. So next up, the stickers. So the next thing I needed to do together with my dad is putting the stickers on. And I can say this is just actually a two-man job, in my opinion. So putting these stickers on was a really okay job. But there was one thing that was always quite concerning, and I noticed it with the mini Sharpins too. You need to do it in one go. So you have something like a second chance if you mess it up. But the sticker quality is good. It's a good quality, nice looking sticker. But when you're putting it on the cabinet and you just want to, let's say, disassemble it, or you made a mistake, there's most of the time no second chance, because the glue on the sticker is, in my opinion, not the best. And I don't know what kind of material it is, more like this very thick, high quality sticker. And my knife, when showing in this video, was not sharp enough to cut through it. So in the next part, we're going to assemble the legs, and the reason why, because we're going to cut off the sticker. And if you're wondering why we're doing this, because I didn't do this with my mini virtual pinball machine, and my sticker beneath the legs are completely messed up. And that is something I don't want the way to have this cabinet, so I decided that we're going to remove it. So what we're going to do, like cut around the legs that it looks kind of fancy and it looks like original. Alright, so let's remove the leg itself, because we need to peel off the sticker, and we need to do it with every single leg. Simply because I don't want to mess up my sticker. Okay, just be very careful, otherwise you're going to rip part of the sticker off, and you don't want to have that. And when it comes to the stickers, what we did, like adding the second one for the side panel, and of course not to forget the one at the front. And after we're done with this, we need to cut out all the parts that we don't need, because the side stickers are not aligned with the cabinet. So you need to do a lot of cutting. And it also applies for the buttons, of course. Very gentle push into the stickers. You can see exactly where you need to cut down the hole for the button, so it fits in perfectly. But I want to point out, like in the manual, nothing says about like cutting the piece of sticker from the leg and other parts. Especially when it comes to the sides, we did like a minor cut over here, because when you accidentally like touch it, it's highly possible your sticker is going to be peeling off. That will happen also with my other cabinets or my ad games machine. It just happens eventually. The next part that we needed to do is assembly of the back box. The back box itself was also more like a mixed feeling about this assembly. The DIY kit, we didn't do it like the manual. Again, we used some glue. But when the stickers were attached, we needed to cut out some things like the speaker roasters or the speaker outputs, and of course the assembly of the monitors. The construction, how it works, in my opinion, it's quite genius, but the reason why we use some extra glue is simply because we wanted to have like a very stable construction. And if you're just going to screw it together without any glue, I think that is not a good idea. And it will have some problems when you're not doing it. For example, like it will shake the back box way more and will create more instability. But before we did the final assembly, I noticed like there is a lot of space between the two wood pieces. Yep, that is just a big issue. And we added some extra support, so we can basically have no movement for the back box. So that's something that he needs to fix in the future, because this modification is just needed. But with a minor adjustment to the cabinet build, and it was just a very quick assembly. The manual that he provides with this is just excellent, and putting this together is super easy, because to begin with it's just a very basic kit. What do I mean with the basic kit? Now, to be honest, like we're having the buttons, the same for nudging. With my other machine, we had so much different pieces of hardware and software that we need to install. And with this, it was not a very easy installation. So where a lot of companies are giving us virtual pinball machine with a single screen or with 2 displays, the Sharpin King comes with 3 of them. Yep, and the 3 displays are quite interesting. So to begin with, of course, the play field. We're going to get one for the DMD and a gigantic widescreen for the back box. I'm using like a 4:3 aspect ratio in my mini pinball machine, but the widescreen doesn't look that bad in my opinion. But let's talk about the LG Ultra HD television. It's a 43-inch 4K IPS display, especially the IPS that is super important. So the assembly of the 4K works very well and it is aligned perfectly. So I think it's a very cool experience when you're looking at the display itself. It's an IPS display, so also we're going to get a very good viewing angle. A real virtual pinball machine needs a DMD. We're going to get this TFT LED monitor. It's more like an older monitor, but it doesn't really matter. It matches up perfectly when you can see the final product that acrylic has been set in front of the monitors. So let's talk about the back box. But the back box is a BenQ monitor, and I can say that it's really a bad boy and it looks very nice. So the back box is basically a full HD BenQ 27-inch monitor that has an IPS LED panel inside, and it looks very nice. It is colorful, especially when you can see like with this back box from blue versus pink. The colors are looking very nice, colorful and vibrant. on the beautiful IPS display. So okay, what kind of hardware specs are we going to get in the machine? The hardware. So the casing itself, you need to basically use double-sided tape to stick it on the bottom. I added a power button on the bottom and not at the front because I think it's more convenient. We drew some holes and we used some screws to putting it on the side panel. Of course, we also used some double tape on the bottom, but in combination of these two, this cabinet doesn't move around anymore. Overall, it got some very nice specification. It comes with an AMD CPU, NVIDIA GPU. It's got a 450 power supply from Cooler Master and good brand, but I would like to see like an 650 or something like that. And we're going to get a 256 GB SSD, 8 GB of RAM over here. And of course, we're hooking up two extra monitors, 8 GB of HyperX Kingston. Again, I would recommend getting at least, let's say, 16 GB. 8 GB isn't overall enough. But let's talk about some specs and what do we get. AMD Ryzen 5, that is a 2600 6-core processor running on 3.40 GHz, 8 GB RAM, already mentioned that. And we're having the GTX 6050. The specs itself are okay and will run future Pinball. But if it's going to be running, let's say, VPX 10, it's going to be a close call in my opinion. Okay, so let's talk about the controls. Okay, first of all, the button quality. The buttons are the same that you get with your other Sharpin products that I've reviewed here on the channel. The buttons itself are like good quality Chinese versions, not like Sanwa or Saimetsu. But overall, it gives a very nice pinball experience. They will be connected with a cheap encoder board, a zero delay one. And if you follow his manual, it's super easy to plug and play and you don't need any adjustments when it comes to the software. So when it comes to nudging needs to be done with the button. There is no gyro or other piece of hardware in it. The delay of the button itself, I don't notice it at all. So it's really a zero delay gaming experience. So when it comes to the nudging and the gameplay, we're having two buttons on the left and the right side. At the front we're going to get the nudging button. Here we're having 4 for controlling in-game. You can also program them if you want to have a different piece of software on it. And here we're having the plunger button. And the on and off switch has been moved to the bottom. So for the plunger, you just hold it. But in my opinion, I wish we had like a real actually plunger like with my mini pin. I think it's like an extra experience, and when you're paying a lot of money for a cabinet like this, a plunger is in my opinion a must have. But the complexity when it comes to the software is completely different and we're going to need some more hardware. So take that one in consideration. But with the nudging, you need to get used to the buttons, or I needed to do that. But overall, it was really fun to play this way. But what about the software itself? The software, here's we're going to get also the DIY part, because he will deliver it with 3 different tables, because he's allowed to do that. The pinball tables are based on Future Pinball. Future Pinball are fun tables, but this is not the full experience that you want to have with a machine like this. So also, beside the cabinet, you need to tinker with the software itself. And that's why this thing is called a full DIY kit. Again, you can just plug it in, you can play the 3 tables. I was not a big fan of the interface because I had a lot of issue with it. I always needed to grab my keyboard. And then overall, I didn't have like this super good experience with it. The 3 tables were a lot of fun to play. And I will show you some later on gameplay. And I must say that this is a really cool way to play, especially on 4K. But for the full experience, the 3 tables are not enough and you need to install yourself some VPX 10. So with the PC, you're also going to get a keyboard and mouse for navigating. Especially with me, I needed to use the Alt-Tab every single time for booting up the system because my interface is messed up. But here we're having the QWERTY keyboard, and yeah, that's a little bit of a bummer because we are using QWERTY over here. So that's something you need to take consideration what keyboard kind he needs to send out. But overall, I like this keyboard and mouse because it's very good quality. The machine also comes with 2 remotes. Yup. So let's grab the cheap one. The cheap one is for DMD, and I can say that this thing is pretty damn pointless. You can't use it because it doesn't recognize this cheap, horrible, plastic fantastic remote. So next up, the television. So because of the plastic bezel on top of the television, this doesn't work that well either. So if you want to turn it on and off and reboot some settings, there is an angle that you can, let's say, get it to work, but this is not really convenient. Okay, but the overall experience was very positive, but take in consideration this is a real DIY kit, so also the software needs to be put together. And you need to have a little bit of experience or you need to watch a lot of tutorials getting this to work. Just want to point it out. But how about the audio? The audio, I think, is one of the many factors that gives the customer a very good virtual pinball experience. And in my opinion, I had some mixed feelings about this. The Z series speakers he's going to give us is not bad at all. By the way, I screwed them on the back box and didn't use the double-sided tape. I also used an extension cable if I want to remove the back box, otherwise it's going to be a freaking nightmare getting the cable loose from the computer. At the side we're going to get two speaker holes. And you can see here that the speakers will basically be behind them. So I grabbed myself an old Logitech subwoofer. They are just active, so plug and play. I already did some modification. I, by the way, use this one in my arcade one-up arcade subwoofer build. But the thing is, like, these things are just fucking cheap and it got its own power. So that is a super easy, convenient way and will give you a way better audio experience. Listen to this. If you want to lower the bass volume, you can always do it at the bottom. Also, what you're going to get is an audio jack, so if you want to use a headphone, you can do this. Okie dokie, so there are 3 tables on this machine, so I just wanted to do some gameplay and show you my personal experience and bring you in the world of virtual pinball.
Drie draai.
Nou.
Shoot the blinking shot, kiddo.
Okay, so the conclusion is, so the machine itself looks very nice and the quality of the wood is also very good. But I don't like the plexi. I personally have like real glass if you need to clean it up. Here you can see after building the machine, it attracts dust like crazy, and I'm afraid if I'm going to clean it up like a couple of times, it will scratch up. That is something we need to see in the future, but personally I would like to see glass. We had a lot of fun with the 3 tables that came with the machine, but of course installing new tables is something you need to do yourself, so you need to deep dive into the software too when it comes to virtual pinball. The DMD looks nice and it is all fun and game that we're going to get like 2 pictures of speakers, but actually we need speakers in the back box. The speaker in the back box doesn't sound that bad, but let's be honest, the sound needs to basically facing towards you to giving like the best experience for the mid and high sound. But I am happy that I added a subwoofer because this sounds so much better. But I am very pleased that we used some multi-purpose kit, because now we're going to get more stability when it comes to the back box, but also when it comes to the cabinet itself. And the bottom plate has been assembled way better now, where we're going to put the computer on. So building this machine was not a super easy job, and this is something you need to take consideration. This is just a next level compared with the Sharpin mini virtual pinballs machines. This is like an actual DIY for the cabinet, but also for the software. I did a lot of modifications here and there, so I would recommend doing it when you're putting this thing together, otherwise you will have some problems in the future. But besides that point, I think it's a really cool idea. We need a live and plunger, we need to have like maybe haptic feedback. There are some things that I'm still missing out, especially when you're paying a lot of money for a cabinet. I would say like maybe he can do it or you can build it yourself, but if you're building a machine like this, you need to go all the way. And the base that we're going to get, like a 4K display, everything that we're going to get is very well, but there are some minor adjustments I will do, like better assembly, better audio, and in the future a plunger and some haptic feedback that would give this virtual pinball like the things that it really needs to have from the start. So I hope you have a better idea what you're going to get with this Sharpin King Pro. Consider subscribing, hit that little bell, become one of the Wicked family, and if you have any questions you can always leave it in the comments. And it will be great to see you in the next video.